welcome to my channel and welcome to my website. My name is Daryl and this is Programming in Any Language. The website is www.black-duck.com. It's where you'll find all my videos organized in a logical order. In this video, we will activate the Save button, and this will give us a chance to test the Load button with data that was actually saved. And in this video, you will see how easy it is for a problem to occur, and they always do. It's part of the program. But our programming errors are easily corrected when we test early and often. Well, once our bugs are removed from our program, we add the math component, a bit of testing, and we'll find that this thing is ready for the multidimensional pieces. Here's how this is done. Let's go ahead and do the save file piece. So we'll jump out to the form here. We're going to go to the save file and double click on this particular button right here, and it opens up our button save routine. Now the save routine is going to put the data out there. So right away we're going to simply say string full record, str full record. I like to create a variable that's going to hold the record that I'm actually writing a disk. I simply could put the data directly into it, but I like to combine things. Often I'm concatenating stuff from different fields, and having something called str full record means that everything's in place, and that's what I can actually write out there. So this is going to be a variable to hold what is being saved, no matter what that happens to be. Then we're going to have a try. So just like the load button, we're going to put a try in there, followed by a catch in case we have some kind of a system error. So we'll do a catch, and it'll be an exception EX, and put that in place too. And that will be a message box .show, and it'll be EX.message, and that will display system error. Then we can go up to our try piece, which is going to do all the work for us when we actually bring this in. So we need a stream writer. Stream writer gets initialized here, and that's going to be output file. Whatever name we want to create. Output file is a good name as any. And this activates stream writer. We're going to say output file equals file. We're going to be creating the file, create text, and we're going to create what? We're going to create my 2D stuff.txt, and then end that with a semicolon, and that's creating the file. Notice this. What I should have done really to save any errors is it's easy to make a typing mistake here, but I should have copied it or brought this down and just copy and pasted this name in here. In fact, it's in 3 different places here in our program. That might make a good constant to use, but we could just use one name and then call it a constant and bring that in there as well. So that's another way of actually doing that thing. But we didn't, and now that I've got it in place, I should be okay. And I'll never have to, oh, well, I will change this for my 3D and 4D array. I'll make a change to that. But for now, this is going to be fine. Let's go ahead and write the record. So we're going to say, write the record. Should say records. And this will be a simple loop. So again, for int I equals 0, I is less than columns, less than rows actually, it should be less than rows. We'll fix that in a minute. Let's go ahead and do that. IntelliSense is trying to be helpful. That's good. We've got our piece in here, so, and that's our rows. We'll do our columns now for int j equals 0, j less than columns, j plus plus. That's there. There's our double loop. Now we can say our str full record is going to be equal to, and this is where I could do my concatenation or whatever. All I'm really doing though is I'm bringing in the contents from inside the array and converting it to a string. Amount I comma j to string, convert data to string, and then I can simply write the record out. Output file dot write line str full record, write record. And again, we've done all this stuff. We can now close it. close the file. And that takes that in place. So now we've got our close piece done. We'll do a file save on this thing. We'll go ahead and run it. It initializes our array because we didn't have the data out there. It actually created the file now. So we've got here. We can save that file by hitting this button. It would be nice to actually have a message in here saying that it could create it. So we'd want to certainly do that. So we'll add a message to this thing, and a message box that'll show that it got saved. But it is in place. We can now hit an exit here, and let's go ahead and go to our code and find this thing. Our sandbox looks like this. And so if we go into the app part, there's our solution file, there's our app. We jump into the bin debug folder, we'll see our my2dstuff.txt right in here. If we double click on this thing, we can open it in Notepad. And it's not very exciting, but we can see here it's a string of zeros sitting in there. As we put other numbers in there, we'll have that. Now, this is where it's interesting. This is going to be a 2D array. It only needs these 12 numbers here. As we start to build to a 3-dimensional array and a 4-dimensional array, this file is going to increase in size. If we end up creating 10 years, for example, it'll be 10 times this. And if we add the companies, 5 companies under that, it'll be 5 times the totals of that. So we'll have quite a number of records here. I think something like 600 individual numbers will be sitting in that text file. So it can be very, very confusing if you try to create this by hand. And that's by letting the save button and the load button do all the work. They're keeping track of where everything is, and we don't have to deal with this or worry about this text file at all. We'll take a look at it as we go through this, and we'll see what we've got here. We've got our form load done. This is all done over here. The button load is done. The button save is done. And our save file is done here, so we're actually calling this and making this all happen. Button load is done, so this is all done too. So the only thing we have left is button unlock and button lock. Button unlock is going to enable the text boxes so we can type something in there. That's all it's got to do. The button unlock is going to calculate the equity and display the text boxes, and then we're going to display the grid. So every time we try to lock it, it's going to do that. One thing you have to note, though, is these buttons are on top of one another, so they're going to have to switch places by basically turning the visibility on and off as we go into this. So which one do we do first? Maybe unlock might be the thing to do first when we actually get in there. So let's take a look at that. Let's add our message box to this thing. Then when it's done, the output file is closed. I think we can put it right here. We're going to say that message box dot show is equal to, or is it going to be equal file successfully written to disk, and that would be it. Message to user. That takes care of that thing. Now let's look at our buttons. Our button unlock, we're going to go to it. The unlock button is right here, so that's the guy we're going to hit first. So I'm going to hit a double click on this guy, and that brings up the routine to actually do this. There it is. What we want to do is we want to say that the BTN unlock, the lock button, is going to be visible. Turn on lock button. We also want to turn the unlock button off. So BTL unlock dot visible is false. So turn off unlock button. Then our button exit, need to turn that off. Exit dot enabled is equal to false. We don't want them to exit the button while this thing is open there. We want them to get done with this piece. So we're going to disable the exit button. If you forget to do these kinds of things, you'll notice it when you do testing, that things don't look right. So you'll catch it there. BTN load, we don't want them to do that one, so that the button load is going to also be false. Disable load button. And BTN save enables equal false. We don't want them to be able to save either once we're in the middle of a write operation. So disable save button. We'll skip down. We want to be able to turn on now, enable the 2 rows of the text boxes. So if we take a look at our form here, we want this basically, the unlock is going to disappear. We're going to see lock sitting here. And these two buttons, these three buttons, load, save, and exit, will be unenabled, so they can't actually press on them. We're going to open up these two rows so that data being typed in. We will not open this row though up. The equity is going to be a calculation, so we won't allow texting in here, but we will allow this. We could have made these labels because we won't do any entry, but to keep it consistent, we made them all text boxes, and we're running the function that way. So these two rows are going to open up now. So what we'll do is we will actually go ahead and say that txt asset1, asset q1 dot text, or dot enabled, is equal to true. And this will enable asset row. Txt asset q2 dot enabled is true. Txt asset q3 dot enable is equal to true, and txt asset q4 dot enabled is equal to true. So that takes care of that thing. Now the liabilities, txt liabilities q1 dot enabled is equal to true as well. We'll enable the enable liabilities row. Txt liabilities q2 dot enable is equal to true. Txt liabilities q3 dot enabled is equal to true, and txt liabilities q4 dot enabled is equal to true. And that takes care of that. That's all we have to do. So file save, save all. So let's take a look and see what we've done. If we run this program, oh, index out of bounds in the array. Why did that happen? Whoa, that is weird. Let me try that again and see what's going on here. Why did it do that? Weird. Start. Index outside the bounds of the array. Uh-oh, did I do something wrong with that file when I came in here? That looks like a system error. Let's go ahead and take a look at that real quickly and see what I've got here for that piece. Here it is. Let's take a look and see what happens. Can I go down here or whatever? Can I go down here? Yeah, it's right here. I noticed I put my cursor down there, and I want to do that. I want to back up and leave it like this. So I must have, when I was showing it off before, I must have done something to the file to actually destroy it. We'll save it as is, and then close this off and see if that's going to work now. Still outside the index, outside the bounds of the array. Really? Okay, what is wrong here? It's coming up with the file, but it's giving me an error. Let's go ahead and take a look at this and put in a... This would be the load button that's actually causing the problem. So I'm doing this, I'm going through this process and going into the load file. So let's drop down, let's put our breakpoint right in there and run this and see what this thing is doing. There it is, it's stopping right there. And I can start using F11 and step through this. So let's jump down. It goes down to the load file, which gets us down to here. We're going to try x is equal to 0, y is equal to 0. We'll open the file up. Well, it's not end of stream. We can do this. Okay, x equals 0, y equals 0, stream writer. It opens the file up because it did find it. My 2D stuff. While input is end of stream. Amount x and y. Let's go ahead and do a watch on these things. I want to do add watch to my x. Add a watch to my y. So it's up here and we can actually follow that through. Columns should be fine. Columns is 4 and yeah, that's not going to change. And rows, this is where I did say we didn't need to check for rows. Let's take a look and see what's going to happen here. Let's go through this. It's going to read that line to x, y, convert to double. So it's jumping, it's going to increment y. It was now 1. It goes through, and now it goes through y is a 2, y is a 3, y is a 4. It then makes y is a, what's going on here? Oh, no, yes, y is equal to 0, x is equal to x plus 1. I'm not seeing x increment here. Y is equal, greater than columns. Oh, okay, wait a second. That's my problem. Is that my problem? Less than or equal to. That's my problem right here. If y is greater than columns, we're good. If it's greater than or equal to columns, that's what we need in there. We need an equal sign in there. That's going to fit it. This is one of the reasons you put the ex.message in there. Because if you're going to have an error, a system error of some kind, you're going to have it during your own screw-ups when you're programming. And so being able to catch those things, you then will eliminate the error and make it all go away. So let's close off this watch list. Let's go ahead and end this debug session. And we've got our equal sign put in there now, so we should work at this point in time. This now should work. So we do a start. Oh, debug. Got to take that out of there. Let's do that again. Stop debugging. File, save all. And now let's run it. Third time's a charm, right? Perfect. We didn't get the error. So that's why it's important to do the try catch. Because I screwed up. You know, basically, I had an equal greater than sign there rather than the greater than an equal to sign, and I needed that because I didn't want it to go be equal to a row or column, and I let it go over, which caused the error. It still put the data out in the array, but it gave us an error as it went through. So we're seeing what we actually have now. Let's see if I unlock the grid here. I can't type in here, as you can see. So if I hit unlock grid, it didn't turn off the load file. It turned off the lock grid, but it didn't. Oh, this one's invisible. So we're screwing up here. This needs to disappear. The lock grid needs to be enabled. Basically, is what we're saying here when we look at that. So let's take a look at that guy, and that probably could be the way I set it up. So we got a load file that should go invisible. Another reason for testing, and the testing before you finish the application as you work through this, because then you can catch these little things that you might have here. So let's take a look at this. This lock thing is not quite right. So let's go ahead and exit the program, stop debugging, go into our, let's go look, I want to look at these buttons right here. This guy is sitting here as, this button is, the unlock button right here is visible, and it's also enabled. That is true. And that's what we want. Let's send this back, and let's look at the unlock button. The lock button should be invisible, false on the invisibility part, and also enabled. And we've got it set up where it is, okay, the false is correct. So it's invisible. So what do we do wrong on here when we actually do this load? We go back to our routine, our unlock routine here. Button lock visible is true. Button unlock visible is false. That's correct. Oh, here it is. I'm enabling lock here. I should be doing this. This should be load. What has happened here is I let IntelliSense dictate it. I didn't check what IntelliSense was doing. I took BTN-L and grabbed lock as the first one and put that in place. So that sets that up. Now we do a save all. Again, testing as you do each routine helps tons. It narrows what you're actually looking for when you're trying to find the error. Looking good here now. Unlock. Yeah, that's exactly what we want. The lock button shows up. All the others disappear. And we now can actually type in here. As you can see, I can type in 45.3. I can type in 45.7 in here, whatever I want to do. I can go down here and make 34. What I can't do is I can't do any math yet. Our lock grid doesn't work yet, so we need to do that next. So we'll close this off. It looks like we're in good shape so far. Now we need to do our lock button. So we'll go to our lock grid, and we'll double click on it to create our routine. And there it is. In this case, we're going to do something with the buttons again. So we're going to do a btn lock dot visible is equal to false. Turn off lock button. Btn unlock dot visible is equal to true. Turn on unlock button. We then want to say our txt asset1.text.enabled, no, I'm sorry, not .text.enabled, asset q1.enabled is equal to false. We're going to turn off these rows again. Enable is equal to false. Disable row 1. It's not being nice and helpful today. We also want to go ahead and disable liabilities Q1. Disable row 2. Let's fix this up here. We got an extra 1 in here. We don't want that. txt liabilities Q2 dot enabled is equal to false. txt liabilities Q3 dot enabled equal false, and txt liabilities Q4 dot enabled equal false. So that actually turns off all those particular rows. So our grid is now disabled. We can't type in it anymore. Now we need to do something. We're going to do a try catch here. So I'm going to do because I'm going to do the math at this point in time. So we're going to do a try. We'll do something, and if it fails, we're going to have a catch down here, and it's going to be a straightforward catch. Oops, what happened here? Let's fix this up a little bit and put in a message box right in here, which is going to be message box.show. Now we're going to say enter valid numbers only. Okay, we're doing that because we want to be able to enter in numbers. There's nothing to stop the user from trying to type in X, Y, Z, or whatever, or something, a letter or something of that nature. So our try is going to have to catch it. And we're going to do that by converting it to a double each time we come in here. So if we run into any encounter that one of the cells out there is not a numeric, a double especially, it's going to give us the error and say enter valid numbers only. So it's a warning message, so to speak. So now we can actually do this and put this in place. So we're going to say amount 00 is equal to double dot parse text ASCII Q1.text, just like that. Amounts 0, 1 is equal to double dot parse Q2. Amounts 0, 2 is equal to double parse Q3, and amounts 0, 3 is equal to double parse text Q4. So that does that guy. We're going to take the second row, amounts 1, 0 is equal to double dot parse txt liabilities Q1 dot text, amounts 1 equals double dot parse text liabilities Q2. We don't need a two string here, just like that. Why do we have an error? Oh, I see why we have an error. We're looking at the. Can I combine this? Can I just make that? I think I can. We have an error here. Amounts 1, 2 equals double dot parse. I think I see my error. Yep. txt liabilities Q3 dot text. It's right here. Extra parentheses is sitting in there. You can always count on IntelliSense to help you in many different ways. Sometimes not so helpful. Amounts 1, 3 is equal to double dot parse txt liabilities Q4 dot text, and that takes care of that. So that's our first two rows are being converted to the amounts field. So whatever we change those text boxes in are actually being saved to the array. Now, the third value, the asset, is a subtraction of assets minus liability. So we're going to be going in here and saying amounts 2, 0 is equal to amounts 0, 0 minus amounts 1, 0, and then amounts 2, 1 is going to be equal to amounts 0, 1 minus amounts 1, 1. That's different. IntelliSense is really helping here. 2 is equal to amounts 0, 2 minus amounts 1, 2. That's correct. And amounts 2, 3 is equal to amounts 0, 3 minus amounts 1, 3. And that puts that in place. So that puts our math in place. We actually have that scored in there just right. We can get rid of the extra line we've got of code here, make that catch up. Now, if you look at this routine, We still have to deal with a little bit of the buttons here. And what we want to do is we want to take those buttons after the catch down here when this routine has actually been completed, one way or the other. We want to say BNT exit dot enabled is equal to true. And we want to spell it right too. Enable exit button. BTN load dot enable is equal true. Enable load button. And BTN save equal true, and we can enable save button. And then, after all this is all done, we'll display the grid. Display the grid routine. And that makes us all nice and happy here. And that should be all we need to do. So let's do a file save on this and run it. There's our file. We can load it. That works fine. We can't see anything. We can save it, and we get a message successfully written to disk. That's great. We can unlock it, and that means we can go in here and we can type in 25 as our assets. We can put in 15 as our liabilities, and then we can put 35 over here, and we can put in 25 over here, and we can put in let's put in a 49.99, and then put in 2 over here, and let's leave it go and lock the grid, and it does the math, and it puts it in place and restores it. And notice we're getting 2-digit decimal places right in here, so it's looking good. We can unlock it again if we wanted to. We can lock it again, so it works very nicely when you actually do that kind of. So we've accomplished the unlock and the lock button are all done. So basically this entire section over here is complete, and so is the load file piece complete. We can add our third dimension stuff and our fourth dimension stuff now into a routine that is already complete. And you're going to find that adding the third dimension and adding the fourth dimension is going to be far easier than it was to actually create the entire application in the first place in 2 dimension. And we'll see that in the next video. Well, the bug part was interesting, wasn't it? In my career, I've had bugs that took me days to resolve. In fact, it was those older bugs which taught me the importance of going slowly and testing each module as you write it. Catching these little guys early virtually eliminates those multi-day bugs you might have encountered at the completion of an application. Well, next we'll add the 3D components to this app. We'll do a little cosmetic stuff as well. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to use the website for easy access to all my videos. And if you get a chance, please subscribe. That way, you'll be notified when something new is available. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.